I'm Alex Toplyn, and I'm a ghost athlete.
Squad going crazy, I'm inaugurated. Bringing greatness to the bay, I feel like Tom Brady. Act up, no I can't behave, okay. Who can get it jumping like the wave? I wait. When we meet you on my dinner plate, fillet. In love with danger, I can't play it safe, okay. Yeah, dog, you know how we ride it. When we pull up, you know we slide it. Losing ain't an option, we survive it.
You know, the story of me getting into the gym is actually a funny one. I first picked up a dumbbell because I got my heart broken. And I knew I needed to kind of focus on myself for a little bit. And the first thing I thought about was building a physique that wasn't warranted of a heartbreak. And I did just that. And who would have known that it took me from that initial starting phase to kind of where I'm in today. I'm a former football player. And I played football for my entire life. I started off in Pee Wee football, went to high school football, and then got a scholarship to play collegiate football. And for as long as I could remember, I thought I was going to be an NFL player. And then I made another investment in myself that I realized I just wasn't happy doing what I was doing. You know, I happened to be good at it, but it didn't necessarily make me happy. So from the outside looking in, you know, people thought I was crazy when I made that decision to just jump the ship and actually pick up a camera and start vlogging and talking about my life. And there was that vulnerability that opened up so many doors. And then I found bodybuilding. And that's where that breakup situation took place, which then encouraged me to just start something new, try something different. And I did. And trust me when I say bodybuilding is a lot different than what people quote unquote call norm. And after that investment, I never would have expected what came next. I started to grow through the ranks extremely fast in bodybuilding, and I was even able to make it to the Olympia just my second year in competing, which is the highest of the highs, you know, in our sport. Training has always been a part of my life, but I think I've trained different ways for different reasons. You know, when I first started off training for football, it was more ego and, you know, just putting weight on the bar and trying to be more explosive for the fields. But it was different when I started to pick up a weight more for bodybuilding. So in accumulation, I've probably been training now for about a decade. And throughout that time, I've learned so much. And in order to kind of be the best of both worlds, I had to almost merge the two. My number one advice to somebody getting into the gym, especially in today's modern day and age, is to not give a shit what other people think. I think that has so much influence on a lot of people and will actually deter people from doing something they actually want to do. So when it comes to social media, my strategy was just like casting a wide net. You know, I have a podcast, I have like talking head videos where I set up the camera and talk about topics that I love. And then I have my own vlog style of channel. Now, going back before all of that, I will never forget, it was 2022 and I was coaching Christian Guzman at the time for his bodybuilding show. And he said, "Why aren't you filming?" And at that time, I didn't even have a YouTube channel. I might have like played around with like edits and stuff here and there, but it wasn't anything to put out into the world. So he was the one who actually motivated me to pick up a camera, and I did. And it was that weekend where my whole YouTube channel started, which really wasn't that long ago, kind of seeing how far we are now. I've always watched the YouTubers, but I never saw myself in their position until I had somebody believe in me, say, "Yo, you have something to share it." And I did. Starting social media, I think I compared myself a lot, you know, to the people who I was following, you know, the people who had a higher following. And I think I got so consumed with chasing that because they had all the cool sponsorships. You know, they were seemingly living the life that I've always wanted to live. And then over the last couple of years, I think I had a more realization moment with myself when I want to create the content that I feel gives the most value back. And I'm not chasing a number. Instead, I'm chasing that feeling that when I look at my own page, I'm proud of the content that's being produced. So my first introduction to Ghost, it was first through their marketing. You know, I was a massive fan of the bright, exuberant kind of, you know, things that they were doing on social media. And then I also followed their YouTube channel, which kind of showed you behind the scenes of what it was like to not only have Ghost products, but work with the team. And then secondly, I started using their products. Damn near everything that Ghost rolls out is something that I found a different use for in my prep, whether it was the vitamins, whether it was the pre-workouts when I'm feeling low, whether it was the all-out pre-workouts when I'm feeling very, very low. They are the ones that I've used so consistently every day in my prep, and I've actually noticed a difference. You know, I'm gonna be 100% honest. I've taken other supplements, I've worked with other brands, and it was almost felt like more of a placebo effect. But it was different when I actually used Ghost, because not only the flavor was amazing, but it was actually effective. But now on the personal side, and this was what I feel like Ghost separates from everybody else. You know, it's not just sending products and posting your code and stuff like that. It's so much deeper than that. They actually check in on you. How you feeling X weeks out from your show? Do you need anything X weeks out from your show? When I did a show in Chicago, they actually had people drive out to me to bring me product. It was just different. I haven't felt like that with any other brand that I had the opportunity to work with. Ghost, it might seem like a company, but to me, it's family. What people don't know about the Ghost HQ is that you can actually open up a little hatch and climb up to the roof. And this was one of my first times ever being in Chicago. And I went up there with some of the team, and then that was the most impactful to me because it was a one-on-one experience with a lot of the people who work behind the scenes and even some of the athletes. And it was that moment that I had an opportunity just to open up, be myself, look out and see the beautiful city that we were in. And that moment has always just stuck to me. You know, we talked about our passions, we talked about things that we wanted to do for the brand, and we talked about some of the future plans that were already in the works. And that was that moment that I just felt included, realized how motivated I was to be a part of what Ghost was building in the future, and a moment that will always stick with me. Ghost has set standards in their industry for so long, whether it's the new products they roll out, whether it's with the athletes, it just simply raises the standard of what most people call normal. You know, it's continuously raised the standard of what I already think hard work is. Being a legend isn't just a word, you know, it's an action. I want my impact to be very simply that Alex Toplyn is a good guy. He's a family man, he's somebody who's loyal, and he's somebody who's passionate. No matter what you want to do in life, where you want to be, if you just follow things that you are passionate about, eventually you're going to end up to your destination. I feel like I'm on the path of doing that. You know, I wake up happy every single day. I'm around people who I love every single day. And I get to do what I love to do and impact people's lives on a positive every single day. I want people to know how to live a healthy life, a long life, a prosperous life, a God-fearing life, and I just want to be a pillar to that.